Hello everybody and welcome to another episode on the Mustang build. Today I'm going to be introducing to you guys the 66 donor body. Let's get to it. Alrighty, so like I said in the intro, this is our 66 donor body that we are putting on the 2007 Mustang chassis and running gear. And I know a lot of you guys are hopefully excited for this build. I know I am. The videos haven't gone live yet, so of course I don't know yet. But hopefully you guys are enjoying this build, and I thought it's time that we unveil the car that is going to be the looks of this. You know, we've been tearing down the donor body and getting it all ready to go, but this is going to be what car is going on top of it. Sorry, I'm staring over there because that's where the 2007 is sitting right now in a million pieces. And so a little bit of backstory on this 66 Mustang. This car has been a part of my family's life longer than I've been alive. This car was originally purchased for my mother back in 1993 and given to her as a gift for when she was pregnant with my sister. And the car, when they got it, it was hot pink. You can still see some remnants. We'll do a tour of the car here in a minute. But it was hot pink when they got it. They didn't like the hot pink. They painted it yellow. It also had a bad motor at the time. It did run and drive, but somebody had replaced the thermostat and put too long of a bolt back in and actually cracked the block with the bolt they put in the thermostat housing. So they sourced a different motor for it. This was an inline 6 car to start with, not a V8 car. So they sourced a motor out of a Ford Maverick at the time and put that in this car. And then basically there's just a list of things that were always wrong with this car. It was a project from the start. It was always a project, and they just didn't have the money at the time to put it back together completely. It was assembled and it didn't look like this, but it was still a big project. And so it sat for a lot of years, and growing up, I'll try and find the picture for it. I have a picture of me sitting on the floor pan when they were doing some work on it up at my grandpa's shop, getting that done for it. And so this car has just been always around. I've always seen it. I've always been near it. And finally, when I was about to graduate high school, then they decided that they didn't want it anymore, so they actually traded it for a pickup, and it left the family. Oh, my arm's getting tired. And it left the family. And so then we didn't have it for a little while, and I ended up getting it back in a trade. And it came back, and it was still fully assembled, still the drivetrain in it. Did not run and drive, though. The brakes were seized up on it. Just still very much a project car. The person we traded it to hadn't done anything with it. And so I had it back and tried getting into it, got it running, got it moving, but the brakes were so seized, and so I made the hard decision that I didn't have enough money to fix it, and so I sold it, and so it left the family again. And so I'll try and, I think I have a video when it left, or a couple pictures or something, so I'll try and throw those up. So basically then, after it left the family again, I'd always regretted it after I sold it because, this car had been a part of my family's life longer than I'd been alive. So what, right did I have to sell it, sort of thing. And so I happened to see it pop up back for sale last year in about July. And the guy I sold it to, this car is very rusty. That's why we're doing the chassis swap on it. The frame was shot. The running gear was, weak, as we said, the brakes were seized up on it, so it needed a complete rebuild. Anyway, the guy that I sold it to did tear it apart and got it to where it's sitting now, which is in a million pieces, with some spots sanded, some spots not, some spots cut out. I mean, the floors, we'll go over here, the floors are cut out of it, in weird mismatched spots. He bought some replacement parts for it. I have a whole pile of parts back there for it. That's the old motor out of it, the straight 6. But he was upset with me anyway for selling him this car in the state that it was, even though he came out and looked at it, and, I didn't have anything to hide about the car. I was very honest about what it needed at the time. And so he wouldn't talk to me to buy it back at that point. And so I actually had my aunt and uncle with a different last name reach out to the guy scheduled to go get it back, and so then we loaded up and went and retrieved the car. And granted, this was a couple years after I had sold it, so the guy, yeah. Anyway, ended up getting the car back finally, and it ended up back in the family, and it's been sitting here since I got it back a year ago, not quite a year ago, and I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with it. I just knew I wanted to fix it, or get it running, or do something with it, and because it deserves that. And so Q, that's when, you know, I'd been watching these different build series on YouTube, and seeing B is for build both the first Mustang that got taken away, and then Oscar's Apocalypse Stang, and then watching Casey do the same thing with a little bit more budget-friendly option with a little older Mustang, going with, I think his was an 07 or an 08 that he used as his donor chassis for his build. And granted, neither of those builds are, Oscar's is probably more of a budget build just because of the used parts they put in it versus all of the custom stuff that Casey did to his. But seeing that build process on both of those cars gave me the confidence to actually be able to do this project. And that's really what got me started into wanting to make a YouTube channel and wanting to do all of this. And it all stemmed from this car. So this is the 66 Mustang. There's not a whole lot. We'll go ahead and take a little tour around it here. Fenders are laying down here. Just pulled them out. They both have big rust holes in them. We might have to order some parts for it. We're going to see. I'm not quite sure what the theme of the build's going to be yet. If we're going to go kind of Mad Maxi style, or if we're going to go with kind of a cleaner build. I'd like it to be a very nice car inside, of course. That's why we picked the leather interior car with AC and all that. But this chassis, or this body, does need quite a bit of work. Like I showed you, the fenders are rusty on it. Luckily, we don't need any of this floor pan bit because it's, of course, all very shot. We're going to try and pull the dash if we can. I don't want to cut this up if I can help it, but I believe it's, I don't know. We haven't dug into it too much. I think it's seamed right there, welded in, so we'll see. There are certain parts of this car that are valuable, but the body is definitely rough. Fenders, got some rust and Bondo fixed here. This whole corner is gone. Like I said, I've got a pile of parts underneath this styrofoam and stuff. That's where the hood, the trunk lid, bumpers, and all of that stuff are pretty much hiding in this pile here. So I do think we can save this car. It's going to take a lot of work. We're going to focus on getting it on the new body first, or on the new chassis first, and then we'll decide where we want to go with the body work from there. This fender is a little worse over the wheel well here. And as you can see, the mud in this corner is ridiculous. There's, you know, 1/4 inch Bondo in there, if not more. So this car's been through a lot, and it's going to go through some more yet. This part's in pretty good shape. Not a whole lot of rust here. There's a little spot in the roof, but that's broken. That's chipped out where there was a ding and some Bondo. This car originally from the factory was a red car. As you can see in some of these sand marks, this car has been a lot of different colors. So I have no idea what color, how much of it was blue when it was blue. And then obviously, you know, you can see blue up in here, blue here. So I think it was red to start with. Then I think someone painted it blue. Then someone painted it pink. And then it became yellow. So a lot of work to do on this car, but it has a lot of meaning to me, and we're gonna make it happen. So yeah, that is the introduction to the Mustang body that is going on our 2007 chassis. If you enjoyed this little breakdown of this car, please give the video a like, consider subscribing, follow along with the build. I am working on getting all my social media up and running as far as, like, you know, Instagram, and that sort of stuff. So keep an eye out for those links in the description below. Big thank you to anyone that's watched the series so far. I really wanted to just be able to make this series and be able to show you guys this process, so that way maybe it'll inspire more people to do these kind of resto mods. I think it's absolutely amazing when these cars come together and what they're capable of, getting all of the classic looks with that new interior, new drivetrain. It's a very impressive setup altogether. So I know we're not going with the fastest car. You know, we could have tried to get a V8 donor car, but this was what was in the budget for now. So we'll do this. If nothing else, like I said, we're planning on either turboing or procharging or supercharging later on, just to make that car a little more fun. It is pretty fast right now. I know it's a V6, and you guys go, no, it's not fast, but you know, it's not a slouch at the moment, especially for where I live. I live on bad roads. We're not going super fast. We'll hurt something on the car, hit a big pothole or something. So I want it to be a very nice car, very cool car, very unique car, especially for my area. So that's the goal with this build. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye.